joy, joy of my desire, all consuming fire. All right, you are my joy of my desire. Hey, all consuming fire. You are my joy, my peace, my strength, yeah. All consuming fire. All consuming fire. Come on, lift your hands.
Now, the third and final tithe is what's called the poor man's tithe. The poor man's tithe is 10% as well. This is the most important of the three because it's the one of the three tithes that can still be kept. We find it in Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 28 through 29, and also in Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 12 through 13. So if you go over to Deuteronomy 26, verse 12, it says, when you've given your tithe to the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within thy gates and be filled, then you shall say before the Most High, I have brought away the hallowed things out of my house, and also gave them unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, according to all thy commandments. I have not transgressed thy commandments, neither have I forgotten them. So here we see who the poor man's tithe is for. Not just the Levite, but also for the stranger, the fatherless, the widow, basically those in need, period. It doesn't say it's only for the Levites or that it can only be given away in Jerusalem. It says, so that they may eat within thy gates and be filled. So we're free to give this to whomever in need where we choose, but we are commanded to pay this tithe. Now, preachers are jumping up and down for joy now because at least one of the three tithes is still valid today, right? But hold on. Let's look at the purpose of this tithe. It's for the needy, including the homeless and the sick. It's for the widow, including struggling single mothers, and don't forget struggling single fathers in need of help. It's for the fatherless. This includes orphans, foster kids, etc. Those in need. This is a beautiful tithe because it takes me back to the Most High's promise to make Abraham the father of many nations. How wonderful it would be if those in need could always turn to an Israelite for help. This was the vision. This was the plan. You know, the Messiah called us the light of the world for a reason. So the command with the poor man's tithe is to bless the needy with it. So here we go. It doesn't say to give it to a church, to give it to a pastor, to give it to a preacher. It doesn't say to give it to an Israelite synagogue. Unlearned Christians love to say, well, I pay my tithes for the upbuilding of the kingdom. The Bible does not command you to do that. The kingdom is built. The Most High has taken care of that. Now, if you're a preacher and you're trying to build a church, you need to get a business loan. The tithes, let's call it what it is now that we know, the poor man's tithe is not for a church. It's for the needy. So what else is your tithe not for? It's not for maintaining a church. It's not for building a new church. It's not for the mortgage for a church. Utilities for a church, aka the light bill, the water bill, etc. Your pastor's salary. It's not for that. It's not for your pastor's mortgage. It's not for his or her bills. And it's not for luxuries that your pastor feels they deserve. Okay? If you feel led to open a church, but you have no money, you may need to rethink who's leading you to open up that church, because if he called you to do it, he's going to give you the money that you need to do it. All right? Manipulating the tithing system is not an option. Once false preachers realized how easy it was to manipulate gullible Christians, they started opening up little churches on every block. Okay, not to preach the word, but to supplement their income with some tithes. And the Bible warns about this in Jeremiah 7:4. Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 4, it says, "Trust not in lying words, saying, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord are these." See, everybody wants to call their church a temple. The temple of Christ, temple of faith, the temple of deliverance, the temple of God. This is the apostolic temple. See, everybody has a temple now. And it's easy to manipulate Christians. I've heard the most ridiculous things. I pay my tithes to be blessed. See, nowhere in the Bible does it say you'll be blessed for paying tithes. It says in Deuteronomy 26:13, pay your tithes so you won't transgress his command. When did we become more concerned with what we can get in return for keeping the commandments? Paying tithes has nothing to do with you being blessed and everything to do with you being obedient. You may have found some scriptures telling you that if you give, you'll receive, but you can't give in ignorance, just like you wouldn't commit to anything else without informed consent. This video is not about giving, it's about tithing. If you want to give all your money away, that's your choice. But if you are tithing, you have a right to know what tithing really is, what it was, and what it is for today, and how it applies today. Some of you are hoping to be obedient with your tithes, but you're actually going against the Most High in paying your tithes. Why do I say this? Well, if the poor man's tithe is for the needy only, but you're paying it to a church for all kinds of other reasons, and your pastor's allocating it for any and every reason within the church, your tithe is not going where it is commanded to go. And you may check the homeless missions box on your tithing envelope, but these churches spend your money however they want. If the lights are about to get cut off and they need $2,000 to keep them on, they'll take it from the building fund, the missionary fund, whatever. It's a business. That box is just for you to feel better about paying your money to them. It doesn't guarantee that that's where your money will go. Okay? Not to mention how hypocritical it is for your pastor to teach you that the laws are done away with, but then collect tithes from you, when tithing is a part of the law. So that should come across as suspicious already, because these people really don't know what they're doing. They're just chasing after your money. So, are you being obedient by throwing your money somewhere it's not commanded to go? No. It's irresponsible to do so. When most of us know people in need or pass by strangers who we know are in need daily, we walk right by them. You see a woman in the grocery store pulling out food stamps or WIC coupons, homeless families sleeping in tents in the park, people living under freeways, pushing carts. Is your church reaching out to these people? Because these are the very ones the poor man's tithe is for. Let's go over to Titus chapter 1 verse 10. It says, "For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, Israelites, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake." What's filthy lucre's sake? What's that? For their own selfish gain. So what ends up happening today is there are hundreds of thousands of homeless and needy people. There are Israelites who are out of order, following and supporting false pastors and so-called prophets who honestly are only competing with one another for who's got the biggest church, who has the largest congregation, who's wearing the nicest suits, drives the nicest cars, who has the most conferences throughout the year, who has the most ministries, who gets invited to the White House first. But they really have no effective outreach ministry for the needy. None of them are broke, though. Not even living middle class status. They're living larger than you are. I guarantee it. But look, even if your church had an effective outreach ministry for the needy, what percentage of what you pay goes toward it? You don't know. When the Bible says all of it must be for the needy. Don't let your pastor scare you into giving them all of your money. While they're on a mission to get rich, your mission should be to be obedient to the Most High. Your motive is your love for the Most High and keeping His commandments. That's all that matters. So take out the church middleman and truly keep the command to tithe. It's not for a church. The Most High told you what to do to truly upbuild his kingdom. Give this tithe to the needy. If you have to set it aside for months at a time until you find a truly worthy cause, then do that. I'm going to end this video with the scripture pastors love to use the most to manipulate you. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 8. Will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me. But you say, wherein have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. I want to charge all ministers today that Malachi 3:8 was not only referring to the Israelite people, it also refers to leaders who take the tithe and use it outside of its purpose. You are the one robbing the Most High. You're robbing him of his glory. The glory he gets when the tithe is put towards what he ordains, not what you ordain. But you'd rather live luxuriously with a puffed up $1 million church than put tithes where it belongs. How dare you make your followers feel guilty for not paying you money you have no business collecting in the first place? Trust me, you will have to answer to the Most High one day for what you are doing. We need to teach people what the tithe really is, who's to pay it, to whom it should be paid to, and what its purpose is. Are we supposed to be doing it today? If you're a Christian pastor, the tithe is not for you. If you're an Israelite synagogue leader, the tithe is not for you either, not in today's context. Neither the Levitical tithe or the festival tithe can be done today. The poor man's tithe is the only one that can be kept, but it is only for the poor, not a church, not a synagogue. So I'll end this video with that. If you have questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. I'm pretty good at responding quickly. If some of you pastors would like to cuss me out or go off on me, feel free to do so in the comment section as well. Healthy debate is a beautiful thing. And trust, I have no problems debating with you. I have all the time in the world to do so. This is what I do for the Most High. I'm not here to mask. I'm here to reveal. If you don't like the truth, look in the mirror, which is the word of the Most High, and get yourself in line with it. I also want to thank all of you who are subscribing to my videos and those prayer warriors out there who are committed to covering me and this ministry in prayer. I thank the Most High for you as well. This is Judiah. Thank you all for watching and be blessed.
Never be afraid. Never be afraid. 'Cause he is my joy, joy of my desire, all consuming fire. Alright, you are my joy, my desire. Hey, all consuming fire. You are my joy, my peace, my strength. Yeah, all consuming fire.